Hello, everybody, and welcome to First Friday Lunch. It is January. It's January. Oh my God. It's January 6th and 11:30. So every month on the first of the month, we go ahead and we talk about a subject that is close to my heart at the time that we're doing the vlog. So I just put out all the invitations this morning. Hello, good morning, Zuzu. And so I'm not expecting a whole lot of people to show up just because I did it very last minute, like I started a half hour ago. But anybody who comes here pretty regularly knows it's 11:30 on the first Friday of the month. So let's go ahead and get started. This month's topic is on goals. So I'm going to talk about the goals that I set for 2022, as well as the goals that I'm going to set for 2023. And I'm going to share my word of the year. I normally do a word of the year, but I don't always share it. And so I thought this time I would. I don't know if I should close that door or just leave it open. I'll just leave it open and she can just talk while we're talking. So normally I schedule all of, hold on. I don't know if that is going to make it better or not, but hopefully it will. Okay. So normally I do goals around three aspects of my life: writing, business, which is my business writing, and then personal. So last year, I set a goal in writing to finish Wind Resistant, to write Curse of the Caravan, and to write books 2 and 3 in the Regency series. I didn't do any of that. That's so horrible to say, but I did not do any of it. I still have to finish Wind Resistant, and it's fairly close to being done. So you'd think that I would have had it completed. And these are the same goals or fairly similar goals to what I had in 2021. And I will link that below. So this whole process of writing books and picking books and all that sort of thing, it kind of changed my perception this year. So I did not meet any of the writing goals last year. Business-wise, I see some people are jumping in. Thanks. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comment section and I'll review them after each little thing. So business-wise, I wanted to put out 4 books quarterly, but that actually means like 1 book per quarter. So 4 books for the year. I wanted to start teaching classes, host write-ins, and attend local cons and my annual retreat. And then one of the things that I did to try and get myself on schedule was Kanban boards. So let's talk about that. 4 books quarterly. I actually think I wrote 2 books this year. I wrote a story for the Bizman Guild's 3rd anthology, Seasons in the Dark. And then I wrote a short story for the next upcoming 2nd anthology with Moorhead Friends Writing Group, which is called Welcome to Ephraim Falls. It's about all its stories take place in a fictional town called Ephraim Falls. So I did 2 books. So I did at least half that. I met half of it. I started setting myself up in Teachable to teach classes, and I didn't really do that. It ended up being not what I wanted to do. I would like to teach classes, but I think I'm going to either set something up on my own or do it through the various groups I have. I can always teach over the Bizman Writers Guild or Writers and Garden. So I will probably do that this year because I do love to teach, but setting it up in Teachable and getting paid wasn't quite working out because I don't actually need the money. I would just like to teach because I like to do that. So, and I've taught classes at local cons and stuff like that. So whether I set up something else on my website and then teach that way, maybe we'll see. So personal, let's see if I can get it here. Personal, I gotta click on the thing. So personal, my goal was to get to the gym 3 times a week, take a vacation or do a self-retreat, and then self-care. And self-care for me consists of going to get a massage once a month, maybe treating myself to a pedicure or something like that. So gym 3 times a week, did try and meet this goal and actually started doing it again towards the end. We kind of fell out. My husband had an injury. And then as luck would have it, every time that we go visit our grandson, we catch whatever baby booger croup he's got. And so we're probably going to go see him again in January. And we're just getting over the colds we got from Thanksgiving. It's so crazy. Actually, we had it and then didn't have it. And then we kind of got something back again. So I don't know. But I'm sure when we go see him in January, we're going to go ahead and catch whatever he's got, because he seems to be one of those little babies that catches everything. So that was, did go to the gym 3 times a week. Vacation, didn't really take a vacation this year. Like I said, last year we did inherit this cabin from my parents. We have been going down there a lot. So that's been kind of serving as a vacation. Although I do write when I'm down there. I've started bringing my laptop and doing some writing, but I am bringing an older laptop that doesn't connect to the internet, so I can actually get more writing done. So I'll probably do some flash drive stuff, and because we don't have internet down there, we hotspot our phones, and then we go ahead and we'll use those to, you know, watch YouTube or do whatever. So, but usually in the summertime, we are on a full data plan anyway for our business. So that works out okay. So we took some vacations. We started working on the cabin, putting siding up, put some back stairs on, going to put the deck back on this year. So there's going to be some projects. So that'll probably continue into this year as well. And self-care, I actually did start going back and getting massages. Like I said, my husband injured his hip. One of the last weeks we were working, probably from going up and down the plane, and he kind of steps back, and there's this, I'm sure he did something. So he went through therapy, and then I finally talked him into going to my massage therapist. And so now we started scheduling monthly massages. Didn't make last month because of the there was a storm the day we were supposed to do it. And then in January, my massage therapist called us and said that she had COVID. So not doing that one either. But I'm going to schedule us both for February. So that should be helpful. So, all right. So those are kind of where I rounded up 2023. I'll see if we've got any questions here. Nope, nothing. Okay. And so normally I pick a word for the year. I actually don't even remember what 2022's was, but 2023's word of the year is going to be balance, because I felt like 2022, either I set very lofty goals, and despite having stuff fairly organized in my life, like the pandemic was, I don't want to say over, but things had started opening up again. So there was a sense of normalcy. Everything had been settled with my parents' estate, so I didn't have that. But it still felt very, excuse me, very chaotic. And I don't know if that's just the hangover from the last year or what, but caught some colds, no COVID, but caught some colds, and just stuff seemed to be very chaotic. And I couldn't find a rhythm. Like rhythm could be another good word for me this year, because I need to get back into, I'm a very rhythmic person. I kind of like to go to bed at the same time, wake up at the same time, do things at the same time to set those habits. And so I need to find balance in all of those things again. So, that I've scheduled my stuff around that specifically. So I don't know if you guys pick words. If you do, go ahead and share them. I'd love to see what they are. You can share them in the comments below, or the comment section I think it's over here. Is that right? Yes, there, maybe there. It's over on this side. I don't know. You can't tell which way I am on the thing. So it's like, oh, which way is it? Anyway. So my word for the year is balance. I need to find balance and start, being consistent in things. Because I find if I'm consistent in writing, consistent in sleeping, consistent in going and getting my massages, consistent in the areas of life that I can control, that when inconsistencies come up, like our spray season tends to be very inconsistent. Like we don't know what jobs we're going to get. We don't know who's going to hire us. Last year was awful. Absolutely awful. It was not great the year before, but this drought, farmers are not willing to go ahead and put money into, fertilizing or any of that sort of thing, because they are so tight with money. So they don't know what the crop's going to do. And it's been very hard. So I would say that you can't anticipate that. It's hard to say what next summer will bring. We already have a ton of snow. We have like a foot of snow in January, which is kind of unusual because we do get snow, but not as early as we did. I think we got snow in November. Yeah, I want to say like mid-November we got snow. So and once it comes, it kind of stays until like March, really. So in order to plan balance, I kind of kept my stuff simpler. So for my writing goal this year is to go ahead and complete 4 projects. And I do have projects. I kind of want to get Wind Resistant done. I would like to get Curse in the Caravan done. I was last year, I'll link the video for last year's goals. I originally was supposed to be published with Magnolia Publishing, but they pulled the contract. That's where my Regency series was going to go. And it wasn't because of anything with the book, but they were like, it got to be July. And I was like, when are we publishing this book? Because it had been sitting for 6 months. It had been done. I had already been halfway through book 2. And so I was like, I need to go ahead and get this project, moving. So I kind of needed that one to get published. And then what I did is I pulled it back and I said, if you're not going to do anything with it right away, I'd like to pull it back and have an editor look at it. And I hired an editor that specialized in that period because I really was worried about some things. The irony is the stuff that I got wrong was pretty easy to fix. Like I had to get my lords and ladies and all that business straightened out. That was pretty easy to fix. The harder thing was I had layered in this spy element. And then after working with this editor, I took it out. And that was kind of hard. But then the feedback that I got from her was mostly that there isn't a good connection between my characters. So I don't know if that book is going to go through my critique group, if I'm going to put it back out in query, because it was more like they were like I'm thinking because it had more of a modern pacing, a modern relationship pacing to it versus this very romantic. I mean, there's a sexual attraction and that sort of thing, but it's to put them together and pull them apart is a very hard thing. And so usually in a contemporary, it's a lot easier because you can end with that happy for now. And this one was happily ever after. So I really needed to work on that. And so I don't know what I'm going to do with that book. I already have it done. It's still done. And then book 2 is in process and was going through query before all of this sort of fell apart. And while I had turned it over to this editor look at, that's when Magnolia Publishing came back and said, we're not going to publish it. Well, we can't meet the publishing schedule that we set forth. So we're going to just cancel the contract. And then I was kind of really concerned about that because I thought, oh my God, it was so awful. They didn't want it. That wasn't the case. What ended up happening is they rebranded themselves into a Western space. And so they're really looking for more like Western romances, either contemporary, historical, or Westerns overall, but because their main house above them is Dusty Saddle Publishing. And if you were to go out to Amazon and do a search on Westerns, Dusty Saddle Publishing, DSP, actually holds a lot of the top 100 spots, or did when I was doing my research on them. And so I think they were trying to go into a space, but I think if it wasn't a Western romance, it wasn't working as well for them because they really have that piece down. So if you're writing Westerns or Western romance, I would definitely look at Magnolia or Dusty Saddle Publishing because they have a very large space, at least on Amazon they do. And that's good. I think they publish exclusively through Amazon to take advantage of the Kindle Unlimited pay royalties. So that if you wanted to go wide, that might not be a thing to do, but they are worth looking at just because it seems like they are working very well in that space. Anyway, so that's neither here nor there. But I decided I wanted to complete 4 projects a year. Like I said, I did a story, Snow by Any Other Name, in Tales from the Frozen North with the Moorhen Friends writing group. I did a Chill of the Reaper, a short story in the Seasons in the Dark by the Bizman Writers Guild. And so I like to keep those projects because those are fairly easy. They're like, I think my latest story that I put in for the second anthology, Welcome to FM Falls, was about 6,000 words. So they're relatively easy to put out. And I usually keep it contemporary. I haven't gone historical, so I don't have to do a lot of research that way. And then my story in in Welcome to FM Falls called The Nude Eye Alibi is actually totally contemporary. There's no paranormal elements like there are in my other short stories. So I think that that's a good fit. So if I could do a couple of those a year and then a couple of books, I will feel pretty successful. Like that'll be a pretty good year, because that's about a project a quarter, and it allows for a spray season from June until September, roughly. Although this year we didn't get started to July. I think we just did July and August, and that was it. So it was a very, very quiet year for us in the business. But that allows me some, those shorter projects would allow me to get product out, as well as, you know, kind of keep honing my writing skills. So that's one thing that I decided to do, is just to complete 4 projects a year, whatever size they are. And if I do that, I feel like I'm probably being successful. I'm just checking for questions. Nope, nothing. Okay. And then the second thing, the business area, I decided that, once again, kind of keeping with balance here. So I'll attend my annual retreat with Writers and Garden, because I love those ladies, and it does seem to be a sort of renewal period after it comes at a point in my life where we are done working. I'm done working, and I get kind of this break, and I get back into the flow of writing, and it's about a month before NaNoWriMo. So if I want to do a project, there's all this passion. And actually, I went to this retreat, and then I did end up coming up with the Nude Eye Alibi story, like the front end of the story at that retreat. So, I find that usually happens with most of my stories. Some people will write during one of the nanos, they'll get a new story idea. And I always seem to come up with one at this retreat. So that's always going to probably be on my schedule, unless we end up having, you know, another pause or some event happens. The other thing that we also do is we have a spring retreat, which that's online. And we've done that now a couple years running. And that's been really successful as well, and kind of getting those creative juices flowing and spending time with people. One of the things that I decided, well, I'll get to that when I do the personal, attend local cons. I did attend iMagicCon last year. I'm going to try and attend that this year, unless there's some schedule conflict. I went to ValleyCon. CoreCon is another local con that's usually in the spring, and it's been hit and miss because it kind of floats around a little bit. It always used to be like the weekend around May 4th. And now they've kind of moved it around. So I don't know if I will be doing that. I would love to go to another national writing con, and I've got my names in for some. There's one, Wild Deadwood Reads is one I've always looked at, but it falls in the middle of our spray season. So I've kind of just crossed it off the list, unless we close the doors for the season, which we might do if we're not going to have a business, if we knew we didn't have enough business. So that's one that I've looked at. There's one in, let's see. I used to go to Lori Foster's, also falls in the summer, so it's a little iffy on that one as well. And then there's one that is put on by, it's down in Texas this year, for love me. Romantic Mastermind, Romance Mastermind, something like that. And I do really want to attend that one. It seems to fall in November. The other one that I've looked at is 50 books to 20, or 20 books to 50K. I've looked at that one. That's in Las Vegas every year. It's mostly indie. The concept is that if you've written 20 books, you'll make 50K a year if you're independently published. So meaning you're doing the publishing. I don't know that that's true if you're with a traditional publisher or a small press. So I'm close to that, but I'm nowhere near making 50K a year, because they get part of your royalties, right? So you're not pulling in all that money yourself. But that's another one that I've looked at doing, and we'll see if that happens or not this year. So, and then I want to put my books into print, because I did find, I don't have it because I gave the last 2 copies to the Morehead Friends Writing Group to sell at some of their events that they were having. And so they sold my 2 Courtesan of Constantinople books. But I found doing these cons and I did a lot of book signings this year too with the Morehead Friends Writing Group. I found we sold more books at those events, or I did. I sold more books at those cons and book signings than I did anywhere else. So, even the dollar amounts that I pulled in made way more made up than what I make doing ebooks with a small press publisher. So I was like, okay, I got to get my books into print if they're large enough to do so. And the smaller ones, I will go ahead and do them like omnibus style. So I'm looking at doing dealing with the Dead series and as an omnibus. I'm looking at doing the Caulfield Cowboys as an omnibus and just selling those at events, just because I think that they'll make me some more money that that's just basically sitting on the table because some people won't read an ebook. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm still exploring audio. I have some books out in audio, but they just didn't. I did it through ACX, and I did it with a partnership with a narrator, and it just didn't go as well. So I don't know. I might have to like pull some of those books and like redo them. So that's another thing that I'm looking at. Let's see if I can get this thing to go down. I want you to go down. Okay. And then so personal. These are a little different too. Like get good sleep, continue my self-care. So go see massage therapist, try and eat better, and then take a vacation. And one of the things that I decided to do with the vacation was to go ahead and take one, but take it in conjunction with another thing. So we do this spring retreat online, and I was talking to my husband. I actually was watching Sarah Cannon, and I was watching her Nano Diaries, and she took and retreated to a hotel over the weekend to try and get a higher word count. I'm like, that is a really good idea. And I was like, I should go ahead and retreat to a hotel in Fargo. I was looking at the Jasper Hotel, but I should retreat to a hotel in Fargo and do the retreat from there, because then I'm kind of away from my house, and it might be kind of, fun to be downtown and, all that sort of stuff. And so I thought, and plus I thought the Wi-Fi will probably be way better than what I've got out here at the farm. So I thought, yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and book a hotel for this retreat. And so that was going to be my, it was kind of going to be a vacation, kind of going to be a retreat. And then, so then I was sitting there and I was thinking about it, and I'm like, why not just go to Missoula, where my daughter lives, and go ahead and retreat there, get a hotel there. And I'll spend like the first half of the week vacationing with my daughter, Kendra. And then the weekend, I'll just hold up in the hotel or whatever. Or because it's so close, maybe I'll grab a train and go to Seattle and stay with my friend A. Catherine Noon. And then I will retreat from there. So it's like, oh, maybe. So then I decided to do that. So I'm going to be taking a trip to Missoula either way. Whether or not I'll go all the way to Washington, I don't know, because I do have an opportunity. I will see A. Catherine Noon in the fall. So at the annual retreat, which I think we're going to be doing in Utah this year. So we kind of try and move it around. I have it in 2025. So excited because I'm working on the lake cabin, trying to get it ready for that. So that'll be a vacation. And then, of course, we're going to have the cabin this year. And I think we're planning just more time down there just to relax and do stuff. So we're getting projects done, but we're just not going crazy. Like we pick a project and we're down there for so many days and we try and get the one thing done. And then it's not quite so stressful. So like we're siding it, and we're going to put a deck on, and we got the back steps on, and we, excuse me, are going to get like, we got to get the pontoon in the water this year. So we have that space, because we're like, we don't have great heat in the cabin. We did. My sister and I were down there the first year, 2021. So 2021. We went down there that summer, hotter than bejesus. And for whatever reason, we're trying to turn on the power for the air conditioner. And the heaters kept coming on, these baseboard heaters on the floor. And so we got them turned off, and I've not been able to get them on since, but I remember it was like 102 or something. There's heat coming out of these vents. And my sister and I are like, oh my God, and we finally got them turned off. And I told my husband, I'm like, I think we broke this thermostat or something. I don't know. And so he's like, yeah, we'll have an electrician come in and look at it or whatever. So we don't have really good heat. But I was like, if we didn't have that pontoon in the back, we could park our caravan there, and we could use that caravan when it got cold. And that also has air conditioning too. So we could use the air conditioning off that. So we'll probably do some vacations and stuff at the lakes, which is fine. I like that. And that's kind of all I've got planned. We're coming up on the half mark hour. I think some other stuff that I wanted to talk about a little bit was, I had mentioned in my previous, I think it was the business section, this stuff. And I put down Kanban boards because I talked about it in my video last year. And one of the things was that I did do it the first 3 quarters, but I had it up here in my office, and I haven't been working very much in my office, which I think is throwing off my balance a little bit too, because um, we had, like I said, last year we had 2 dogs. Well, one of them died this last year, so a little chaos there, and the other one just can't do the stairs. So usually my husband and I will sleep downstairs on the sofa with the dog, so the dog's not alone. And I'm like, oh man, I got to figure out something. And I find it nice to write in the afternoon at the in the kitchen. I have a little table set up, but it is not good for morning because it's got an east view and it is like so sunny. You're like looking at the keyboard or whatever. And so I tried the Kanban board. It didn't work because I wasn't near it. I wasn't getting to it very often. So I'm like, well, I'm going to end up doing something with my planner and maybe little sticky notes in the planner. I kind of like that idea because then maybe that'll help me keep on top of stuff. But yeah, that Kanban board did not work for me in 2022. It just didn't. It did for a little bit. Like when I had both dogs, the first quarter up until Mocha she passed June 15th, Father's Day. Yeah, she passed June 15th. And so it worked a little bit up until then, because Kaiser could do the stairs and he would come up here and he'd sit in the chair and I'd work. And so that we had this rhythm going. And so I did get a lot of stuff done the first 2 quarters. Then she died. And I don't know what happened, if it's depression, his like back legs he just can't, he's not like stable. So we got like little carpet tiles all downstairs and it looks very, I got some old yoga mats on the floor so we can walk. It's just so weird looking down there. It's like a hodgepodge of like little carpets and then there's like yoga mats and stuff. So people are like, what, probably walking out, what the hell is this? So my dog can walk, and there's dog beds all over the floor so you can just lay down wherever. But it's I don't know that I'm going to be back up in this office until he passes, just because we do lift him up and sometimes bring him up here. But I got to be up here for a good like 4 hours to make that worth our time. So I got to find a good writing space downstairs, and I haven't found it yet. It used to be pretty easy. Just I'd go anywhere. It was no big deal. But for whatever reason, I seem to be most productive here. So and I've also started late night writing. Like I'll come up here and write in the evenings, I was sort of a morning person last year, like 9, 10 o'clock. I'd get most of my writing in, and then by noon I was done. And yeah, this year it's late. So I don't know. But anyway, so that didn't work for me. But one of the things that did do is, I don't know if you can see it. Another thing when I was watching Sarah's Canon stuff is she had moved a large monitor into one of her offices. And I'm like, oh my God, I have that old monitor downstairs. And I have an HDMI cable with this Chromebook, and I should hook it up into that monitor. And I did. And actually it found that it worked really well, especially like in the evening when I'm writing, because my eyes get so tired. I can't really write. I shouldn't have been super productive. That's the other reason I kind of like to write. Now it's sort of like afternoonish seems to work best. But writing in the evenings, the screen here is so little, and I'm squinting the whole time going, what did I write? What am I doing? So just trying to keep my eyes healthy. So that was one thing. But yeah, that didn't work. So I get some ideas from other bloggers, and I'll link I will link some of Sarah Cannon's stuff down below for 2023 goal planning, and then last year's video and a couple other things. So I am going to let you go, since I know there's some write-ins happening. I know that Dawdling Writer's coming up here at noon o'clock, so I will let you get over to her if you follow her as well. And our next First Friday lunch is going to be February 3rd at 11:30 a.m. So go ahead and pencil me in for lunch.